Welcome to the Faces and Heels podcast. You're in for another victory as we have the medium Boofa with us here. Lewis Perry, myself, Jack Inkslinging Purcell, and we have a guest who's going to be joining us in a moment. I'm going to hold off on the introduction because we seem to be having a weird technical hang-up. So I'm sorry we've been away for 2 weeks, but Lewis...
Can you moonwalk?
I don't know what that said. Lewis,
Yes.
give us a little bit of an update about any wrestling you watched this weekend. Did you watch either of the pay-per-views, the Ring of Honor or NXT? Both happen on the same evening?
Well, I know that the New Day, baby, Kofi Kingston now holds a record for something. And I know the New Day, baby, are now the NXT Tag Team Champions and hold every single WWE belt in history. And I kind of thought it was a step down, but I see what they're doing. They're the most decorated tag team in history. And, we got a comment coming through. Eric is jumping in, Eric Hunting, and says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Who are you calling gentlemen? Because
this isn't funny at all.
I am not no gentleman, dude. So you just remember that." But yeah, no, I did not see any. I didn't see the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, but I did see what I thought was a great skit. Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Bray Wyatt's thing flashed across the screen, and Alexa gets her into Sister Abigail and then snaps out of it. I want this to come to fruition. I want this to come to an end. I want to see the change. I want Alexa to be the Alexa that we all want her to be. I want that to come back. And then Asuka going through a change. Is she going back to her old New Japan gimmick? I hope so. I really, really, really do. And Eric says that was a great moment. Yes, it was. And Asuka, spraying the blue mist, not the green, the blue mist in Dominic's face. Oh my Lord. And the look on her face was just amazing. So, I'm digging it. I really, really am. Of course, we also got the news of Riddle's suspension. Triple H, he's totally against, drugs, recreational drugs, after what they did to all his friends. And Riddle's got to be on his toes, man. I'm not surprised at all, but he is something.
Yeah, the 420 merch is sort of telling. But I mean, it's one thing if you're dealing with weed, it's another thing when you're dealing with cocaine and some other stuff. So
yeah,
let's wish Matt Riddle well, getting himself in order.
Okay, Jack, our guest, I'm getting feedback from backstage. Our guest is in the house. Do you want to introduce him?
Yeah, so we've got a treat for everyone. Some of you guys are very familiar. I know one of our guests or two of our guests who are already on are very familiar with our guests. So hopefully we're going to be widening some people's understanding of the world of indie wrestling. And some people are just going to be psyched because they know our guest. But I want to introduce the medium Boofa to the Big Boofa, Dezmond Cole.
How you doing?
What's up, man? What's going on?
How are you, sir? Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Oh, of course, man. It's my pleasure, bro. I can't wait to do this.
Awesome.
If it was your pleasure, you wouldn't have been late. Who said that? Who said that? I know that was rude.
Tactical.
My God. My God.
We're at the mercy of technology, God. Lewis.
God. That was pretty damn rude of the person who said that.
Hey, I'm not your mama.
Wow. Anyway, Dezmond, thank you for being on. That was pretty damn rude. I think that was Eric Hunting that was saying that stuff. I'm not quite sure.
Never mind.
Yep. Yes. All right.
Eric.
Anyway, Jack, take over.
Well, Dezmond, we really appreciate you being here because you're someone who I think when you see your work in the ring, and it's funny because there's another guest coming up who I would say something very similar to. It's very poetic. Like your movement in the ring, it just flows. And there's a lot of guys who kind of stammer sometimes. And I just feel like when you watch your work in the ring, you're not going to confuse you with anyone else that you're going to see on the card that night.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, that's my big goal. To try and stand out as best as I can, to be as unique as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, it really is obvious too. I think that when anyone watches you in the ring, I remember the first time I saw one of your matches, I think it was Victory Pro Wrestling, and I remember seeing you do a suplex, and I guess maybe I wasn't paying full attention, but I saw you do the suplex, and next thing I know, you're on your feet, and I was like, "Whoa! Like, how'd that happen?" And I then, of course, as I got more familiar with your repertoire and your matches, I love that you're able to put a really specific signature on moves that we're so used to seeing and that are so often common in the ring.
Yeah, that's a big thing. What even like if you, it's I'm not gonna say it's easy to stand out, but if you could take basic moves and you can put your own twist on it, people will remember that. It's like how you execute a move. Like a lot of people do a suplex, a lot of people do a body slam, a lot of people do hip tosses, but if you add your own twist in it, like people, it kind of blurs the lines, and people think you're doing more, like a lot more, when you're really, you're really just adding a little dab of your own thing.
Yeah, but I think that goes a really long way. And I know that my son's 15 years old, and he's seen your matches. He has not seen you live yet, but that's, I'm sure, going to change in 2023. But he always points out to me wrestlers who he sees that have some flair. Because I remember there's been several wrestlers, I'm not going to name, I'm not meaning it negatively towards any of them, but I know his perception as a 15-year-old is like that. But he kind of has this idea that when you've got that 5 minutes or that 10 minutes or 20 minutes in the ring, that you should make sure it's not a wasted opportunity and that people aren't going to mix you up with someone else. And I remember he was watching a wrestler who, has been around a long time. He wears the black trunks and boots. And he's like, why does this guy just wear black trunks and black boots? And I feel like, again, you're the opposite. Like, your gear is really unique. So where did you come up with that gear? Did you design it yourself?
So before all of this, so I may answer a further question you may have right now.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I realized, I was really letting myself go. I was getting pretty heavy. So I said, you know what? I need to do something. I even before that too, I never felt like I was myself, and I was very scared to be myself. I was like serious guy number 3. Like I thought I had to be serious, couldn't show no personality. So I wore like tights, and I tried to hide my weight by wearing a vest and stuff like that, because I just didn't want to accept the fact that I was overweight. So during COVID, I started like working out and taking my diet seriously, and then I started losing weight. And then I was like talking to Tristan Ty, if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
So he's like one of my really close friends. We were on the road together, and I finally got like my first booking. Kind of like they were starting to do shows kind of again, and I was like, yo man, I don't know, I don't know what to do. And he goes, you know what you should do? He goes, just try being yourself. Like, try showing people what your personality is, like what we see, like, show them that. So then I started doing this character because I was already like, I was 10-year competitive hip hop and breakdancer. Oh. And at first I didn't have the means to get
Can you moonwalk?
I didn't have the overalls. So what I did at first is I took my tights that I was wearing and I just like rolled them up, and I started wearing sneakers to look like somewhat cool. And I was like, you know what, this isn't really working anymore. I was like, I'm in decent shape. I'm ready to level up. So then I was like, what fits the aesthetic I'm going for? Then I went back to, the places I used to do my dance battles in, and even the video games like Tekken and stuff like that. I love Eddie Gordo. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I need to go to overalls. That's gonna fit my aesthetic the best way possible. So shout out to No Gimmick Gear, because she makes my stuff and everything. And Bitter Chain, like he drew up my new pair of overalls, but she did like that one you see I wear a lot. She did that all from scratch.
Wow. Did you have input on it? Like, because I think on your left knee there's like there's a dog, right? And was that something that you contributed, or did she just go nuts?
We were talking for a while, and I said, I want people to see that I have two sides to me. There's an aggressive side, and there's a very vibrant side, which, like, for the most part, I like to show. But I like to be like the element of surprise, and looks can be deceiving. So I like to switch it up on people all the time when I'm in the ring.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you brought that up, because I didn't know that you had a background in breakdance, but it makes so much sense because of the way you move, you use your feet a lot, you do a lot of really interesting offense with your lower body, your legs, your feet, the kicks. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to probably identify this incorrectly, but there's one move you do in particular that I always think is super dynamic, where it's like a cartwheel kick.
Oh yeah, it's the capoeira kick. I've also like trained in capoeira, so that it's like yoga fighting. So it's
Wow.
like it just goes hand in hand.
It's so interesting because, I mean, again, you're doing stuff in the ring that not only a lot of other people aren't doing, but can't do. Like, there's been several matches, and might even have been one against Tristan, because I think you guys fought at Beyond, where I don't remember exactly what led up to it, but like you did the splits at one point.
Oh yeah. I still do it. I think I always love the reaction I get when I do it, because people are like, it always catches them off guard, and it's like I don't know, man. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome because people do react, and it's been cool to see. And again, this is just from the fan perspective. I don't know all the intricacies of the journey, but I know that for me in 2022, it just seemed like everywhere I looked, you were popping up, and it feels, again, just from my perspective, which might vary from yours, it seems to me it must feel amazing in 2022 that we're seeing you at Creative Pro against Bryce Donovan, and then we're seeing you at Wrestling Open, and we're seeing you at Blitzkrieg versus Limitless. You're at Limitless and against guys like Aaron Rourke. It must feel like, I mean, how does that feel to you? Do you feel like you're, and also I shouldn't leave out being, I believe, the New York State champion at Victory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that how does that feel? Does it feel like you're kind of living the dream at this point?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it really I can't I was coming off of like I started getting the ball rolling like last year, and then I took a really terrible ACL injury, and it was off the most basic thing ever. So that happened to me. I got really down, and I was telling myself, I was being very negative, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't see people really caring at all when I come back. So I was like, I got to do something. I came back, and it just was, I don't know, like people just latched on really quick. And it's like, I remember coming back, having my first match back at Victory Pro Wrestling. Then I forgot whatever the match I had after that. And then it just like put me so high. And then like I blew up on Twitter, and I don't know. It is like in the blink of an eye, it all just kind of like started happening. Then like down the road, I start getting involved with Beyond, and then Limitless hits me up. And then from there, like it's just been like to the moon. It's the pressure's on always now, but I can't say this is not what I've been wanting for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean,
What
it
made
seems. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lewis.
I'm sorry. I had a question for Desmond. What made you think people wouldn't care?
So I just like it was a weird little what's the word? Like a little halt I was in last year, because I was kind of starting, like people were starting to realize me a little bit, like they're recognizing, but it wasn't enough to be on the bigger platforms to be here. And then when I was just about to get there, I got injured. So like I was just like I give up.
Well, it must have made you feel so good and so appreciative when you came back, and it was like, oh my God, they really miss me. They really, want me here. It must have made you feel like $1 million.
I still feel that way right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like the fan base that I'm growing is like the best fan base ever. Like I never, knock on wood, but like I never really get any negative comments for the most part. And obviously, as you get, higher in the business, you're gonna get them. I've got them, but not as much as the rewarding and like polite comments I get. Like every day. People telling me something like that I've helped them and that they love watching me and I inspire them and stuff like that is just makes like my day. It makes me like
All right.
realize why I'm still doing this.
Well, that brings me to one of my favorite questions, and then Jack, you can have the floor. What was it like the first time you walked out of Gorilla and saw a sign with your name on it?
Oh,
and what did that sign say? Do you remember?
Man, the first time?
Yeah.
The first time was like, oh man. I think in like 2019, I think I saw somebody made a sign, and that was a while ago. But like to me, that was awesome. I was it was like it was a simple sign. It just had like Dezmond I think on it with like exclamation mark. I wasn't the Big Boofa at all at this point, but
Okay.
it had that on it, and yeah, no, she was a very like very nice like lady. It was her, I think, and her grandson. They made the poster. That's crazy. I actually really do remember that. But yeah, no, it was awesome. I think recently, this guy, he's a Limitless sign guy on Twitter. He just made me. You know what? Damn, I don't even know where. Oh, right here, here.
That's I love asking this question.
Oh, cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, shout out to this guy because he came up to me a couple of Limitless shows ago. He gave this to me. I saw it in the crowd, and then he gave it to me, and I couldn't believe he was letting me keep it. That's
Nice.
that's awesome.
That's so cool. It's a good thing nobody else got a hold of it and ripped it up on you. You know, if you had some mean opponent who wanted to shred it on you.
I hate that. I hate the sign ripping. Damn.
Jack, the floor is yours.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of lost track of where I was going specifically, but I guess for me, like what you were talking about with really letting your personality come forward and watching these things happen in front of you. I remember talking, like we had Big Game Leroy on at one point, and
I love Leroy.
He's awesome, like super cool dude, and has like a great philosophy about it. And you just reminded me of it where, you know, I know even recently he's talked about it where he just feels like if he just keeps working hard, things are just going to happen organically. Like he's not in a rush, you know, he's not sitting by the phone waiting for AEW to say, hey, we need you here today. You know, he's just continuing to plug away and just work hard and has faith in the process. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, do you have like this burning desire to be at a certain place at a certain time?
Some days are worse than others, as in like sometimes I gotta remember that this journey is like very fun and you just gotta keep going. Like I do work really hard. There are some days where I'm like, oh man, when's my number gonna get called? I hope soon, but I've realized that I don't like to go through the motions. I kind of want to love what I'm doing for the moment. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, yeah, I kind of stopped thinking in that way. So I'm slowly starting to learn to have more, more fun, enjoy the road. But I can't lie. There are days where I'm like very, very adamant and I fixate on like, oh man, I would love to be here right now. I'd love to be here. So who knows?
Yeah. Right. And it's got to be challenging because I'm sure on a daily basis, your mentality can change. It's got to be very difficult to stay centered. There could be a day where, you know, you're busting your ass driving 5 hours to get to Maine. You're hurting after you got to drive back. And it just feels like, oh, you know, this is a lot. You know, this isn't like the part where you're just thinking about the in-ring work and being in front of the crowd and being able to perform. But it's all the other parts you have to deal with being a freelance. You got to book your stuff. You got to get your gear made. If your gear rips when you're doing the splits or somebody's throwing you through the ropes, and you got to deal with all that. You know, it's not like that kind of stuff just happens. And I feel like a lot of people don't really understand the entire process, which I'm always interested to talk to wrestlers like yourself and like find out like, what is it like? Like, how do you keep yourself centered when you find yourself getting into a negative space?
My friends, like my brothers, like I have a group chat that, we're all doing our thing, shout out to them. but they keep my head on my shoulders. Like every time I start like feeling like I'm steering off, and because there's no a lot of wrestlers would be lying to you. They say they don't go through these problems on the road all the time, but because you're doing like these double booked weekends, and you kind of don't have time to think about what's going on until like it all get home and it all kind of calms down, and then the rush is gone, and then then you can start thinking about it. But these guys, they really do keep me in it, and even the fans too. I know as cliche as it is, but the drives like can be really bad sometimes. But then like you'll get to a show and like I just showed you, like a fan will do something like that, or like fans will be cheering your name, and it's just crazy sometimes that a complete stranger like myself can yell a word to people and they could scream it back to me like that. I just think it's actually crazy.
It is, yeah, because that crowd reaction is really, there's a palpable energy. And so I'm going to just piggyback on that and go to one of our listeners' questions. Chris Hebert says,
Oh, hold on.
Hey, cool hearing you talk. How did you train to come back from your ACL injury?
Oh, this is a great question, actually. It was very terrible. Sorry, reading Sidney Buckabella bullied me. What does that say? Sidney Buckabella bullied me
into buying a Boofa 8x10
yeah, I remember who that is. I'm so sorry. he grabbed my pictures. He started just auctioning them off, and I had no control. I had no control. Oh yeah. So that question, the ACL injury. I went through excruciating PT. I was doing it for about 3 to 4 days a week. It was sports PT because I wanted to get back as fast as I could. And like I haven't cried from pain in so long, and that was terrible. The things I was doing was my left knee, and it was rough. After doing that for about a month and a half, 2 months, I was able to get back into the gym. And it was very scary. Like it took me a while to trust my knee, but even sometimes I still get a little nervous. But I make sure I stretch. I wear I wear everything I need to wear on my knee, and I'm good. But no, it was literally something so basic. I shoulder checked the guy in the stomach, and I rolled off his back. And when I landed in the ring, my knee exploded. So, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought about that because I know that you had that injury, and I remember watching a match recently at Beyond. I think it was the Bish at the Beach show, and I remember you getting hit in the knee, and it felt like it wasn't just selling. It felt like your knee really was hurting, and you kind of like walked it off and continued the match, and it wasn't something that it seemed to inhibit you at all. But I remember thinking like, wow, like that must be scary if that, is there that thought like, is my knee re-injured? Is it fully healed?
Yeah. Honestly, a lot goes through my, mind when I'm in the ring. I just make sure I am not doing things that are going to put me at jeopardy, which is like crazy because I do some things that are like ridiculous. But yeah, no, when it comes to like my left knee, I just try my hardest to watch my landings and make sure I don't do that same thing again. It's hard. The PTSD is like real because that day was so normal. I had a wedding the day before, and I was dancing and having such a great time. And then the next day, like I had that show, and I felt great, and it just happened like out of nowhere. So it was I couldn't even predict it was going to happen.
Right. And those injuries are often that way with the knee. I tore my Achilles, had no idea. There was no prior warning. Bam! Like next thing I know, I'm, crying on the ground. So I relate to that. Chris Hebert follows up and says, people forget how much pain wrestlers go through while training and conditioning. Glad you are better. Great comeback story.
I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you, man.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like there's matches that I remember seeing, and again, I don't know the exact timeline of when they happened, but I think it was fairly recently. I believe you were in a fatal 4-way, and again, I think it was Limitless, where you were in there with Aaron Rourke, Uptown Andy Brown, and I can't remember who. I think there was
Oh,
a
I know you're
fourth
talking
person.
about Channing Thomas, right?
Yes, world class Channing Thomas. And I remember you doing a dive over the ropes, and I was thinking, whoa, that has to be PTSD instilling, going over those ropes and hoping that landing works out so you don't land and put all that pressure on that knee.
The only thing that goes through my mind is the jump off. Like when you set before you jump. I only like get weird about that because my boy Tristan Ty like injured his he shat. I thought I had it bad. That man broke his everything in his knee. Like he tore everything. And this was like a couple years ago, but that's actually what happened. He went to go do a tope out the ring. And when he went to go base off the mat to flip, it just exploded and he didn't get any air.
Oh.
And then that was it. He was out for like 2 years. So really bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's awful.
When you came back and the first high risk that you went to perform, the butterflies had to have been there. So do you want to explain how you defeated the fear and how you got rid of those butterflies? I mean, what went through your, I don't want to say through your mind, but it had to have been your heart. There had to have been something in your heart that was like, do or die, I got to do this. So what gave you that courage? What gave you that courage in your heart to do it? Yeah.
Like
what was that drive?
Like to start doing it, start doing high risk things again. I realized this business, if you hold yourself back and you don't take your risks, like it's kind of gonna bite you in the ass in the end. It's a part of the game, unfortunately. So I said, it's what I do, and like I can't be scared for the rest of my life. And if that's the case, I'm not gonna be able to be the kind of wrestler I wanted to be. I don't know. I think I'm trying to remember what match it was. Maybe it was my second match back. I really took a high risk, which is crazy, but I tried the suplex nip up again. And I was thinking about it. I remember I was like, I don't know if I want to try this, but I did it, and it was pretty smooth. I landed perfectly, and then I just kept doing it in practice and stuff like that. And my knee, let's just hope, but yeah, my knee's been great. Like I get checkups and everything, and just to make sure it's good. And every time, like Doc says, it's good. So as long as he says that. I'm still going to be cautious, but I don't know.
Okay. Right on. Sure. I guess the next thing I was curious about, it's kind of a two-part because I have something in mind, but I don't want to say anything until I hear your answer. But I've really enjoyed so many of your matches, and they've been against really different opponents. Like it's not like, big guys or fast guys or whatever. It's kind of been the full spectrum. I feel like you're able to really have great matches with all kinds of different styles. But if you had a dream match that you could get booked for in 2023, maybe your first booking of the new year, do you have one person who that would be?
This is easy. This is the easiest. Speedball Mike Bailey.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
That's so easy. I was just talking about this yesterday. I was like, yo, I want to wrestle Speedball Mike Bailey. I think he is an amazing talent. Like, I just think me and him would like tear it up.
No question. I mean, there's no question about it because there's so many guys I'd love to see you face. But can I throw out what my dream match for you would be in 2023?
Of course, yeah.
And this is actually our guest next week, so you can come on and talk trash if you want to. But Uptown Andy Brown. And I know you can. I don't even know if you faced him before, but I remember just seeing chemistry between you guys in that match we mentioned earlier.
I'm not gonna lie. He's cool dude. We get along so well. No, I actually really want that match as well. I've had so many matches this year, like, and I can't wait for 2023 because I have no idea. Like, wrestling is like some crazy magic 8-ball. So I definitely could see that happening this year. And like me and Blitzkrieg are cool and everything. I just did that. I did that show. Wrestling VSK. Unfortunately, I didn't win, but No, me and him are so tight. Like I always like comment on his stuff, letting him know how good he's doing. He's always supporting me and sharing my stuff. That match needs to happen this year. Next year.
No doubt. I mean, and here's the interesting thing that I was thinking about too. Part of what made me think about that was I loved your match with VSK. That was so cool. Like that was for me like super exciting. I was like a little kid like watching that match. It was so great. And but I think there's a strong possibility, and I wouldn't want VSK to hear me say this right now, but there's a strong possibility that Andy Brown's going to be the Blitzkrieg champion going into 2023. So maybe that's your opportunity to make that match happen in Blitzkrieg.
Just saying. So look, we're saying it right here. We're gonna manifest it. The Big Boofa versus Uptown Andy Brown Blitzkrieg title. How's that sound? Let's do it.
Sounds like a great main event that I'll be front row for.
I'm down. I'm down for that.
Awesome. That would be super cool. So yeah, let's manifest that into reality because I think that would be a killer match.
Oh, most definitely. He's that was the first time me and him have ever like interacted. And I remember seeing him right away. I was like, me and you, we're gonna do something. And it just like, Randy loved it. We clicked on whatever we had, to do with each other, and that Fatal 4-Way, it just felt great.
Yeah, it came across. I mean, when I was watching it, I remember thinking I liked everything that was going on in that match. I mean, I think Aaron Rourke works really well, like yourself, with all varieties of opponents. But I remember it stood out to me when you two locked up. So yeah, let's look for that in 2023. Jeremy is probably watching right now. There's something.
He is. I just text him and I text VSK.
Oh no.
VSK doesn't like before. He doesn't like when I say this, but like you were saying, you were
let me delete it.
No. You were saying you were like jumping around like a little kid watching his thing. I told him when we were like talking and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, man, I used to watch you when I was a kid, and I killed him. He hated him because it is true. I can't lie though. He was in VPW when I was, years ago. Yeah. And I used to go to those shows as a really big fan, and that was the number one guy to me. I was a really big fan of him. So I was like, I'm just going to tell him when I face him, like, yeah, I don't know why this didn't happen sooner. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, I think he is such a super talent, and he's everywhere too. I mean, he's all over the place. So that must have felt really good for you. It sounded like when you were younger, you were going to VPW, and you were, as a fan, was that the place where you fell in love with pro wrestling?
Oh, that was my next question.
Like indie or like pro wrestling?
Well, that's a good distinction to make. I mean, were there two separate? Like, were you going to WWE shows and then you found out about companies like Victory?
So I was like a nerd. So around my age, when I was younger, not a lot of kids knew what independence was. They just knew about like Raw, SmackDown, like stuff like that. I was literally like watching ROH, like Bryan Danielson and like Austin Aries and like the Motor City Machine Guns, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. Like I was watching all that stuff. And then I kind of like was in a box and I didn't know that there was local indies. I didn't know that. And when I found out that this VPW was like around my vicinity, I literally after my first show, I kept going and going and going. And he's somebody I would see there literally all the time, like VSK, Eric James, Ricky Reyes. I would just like watch all of them, and I was mesmerized at that point. And then I would tell myself, I never knew like that I could get into like wrestling. I was such a huge mega fan since I was like 5 years old, and it's just crazy. Like when I figured out I could start doing it, it was just a whole new meaning.
Wow. I mean, it must have been really special to debut as a wrestler at Victory. Like, when did that happen for you? Was that early in your career? Was that one of your first matches, or like what was the time frame?
It was like I was a year in. I still was like green as hell, so I still didn't know what I was doing. I would say I think I debuted for VPW in February 2018. I think, or it was 2019. No, it was February 2019. My bad.
Okay. So that's amazing. I mean, I think for me that I can't imagine that early in your career debuting at the place where you kind of grew this love for this art form.
Yeah, it was special.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, now you're a gold holder there with it, which is even crazier.
Thank you.
Who
And
were
so
some
you-
of your biggest influences besides VSK? Who you watched as you were a kid?
Influences. Oh man, this is like inspirations. You mean like that?
Yes.
All right. So, Bryan Danielson is a huge one
Okay.
for me. His whole like storyline, his underdog storyline to getting to WrestleMania 30 sold me. That was it. Like I went, that was when I decided I'm going to go start training. Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio, The Rock, Randy Orton. Those are all people. Eddie Guerrero. Those are all people that I've like idolized growing up. And even Kurt Angle. Like I loved him a lot too. But yeah, those are all like those are big influences to me.
and as you're watching, I mean, well, actually, I shouldn't even assume this. What are your watching habits right now? Like, are you on IWTV every night? Are you watching AEW, NXT? Like,
Of course he is. His matches are on IWTV. He's
I
on there every
know,
night.
I know.
That's
I
a stupid question.
I watch all of it. I watch all of it. When I get a good chance, like if I'm not busy and I get the notification that pops up on that's a show streaming on IWTV, I'll check it out. I watch WWE, I watch AEW. I don't get really to like I don't watch New Japan that much anymore as I used to. I'm starting to watch new ROH product. Yeah, I pretty much watch everything.
Who do you study?
Who do I study?
Yeah.
So this is is a funny question. For the most part, when I go and try and look at things for charisma wise, I look at The Rock.
Okay.
The Rock has amazing visuals, and just like he could tell a story by looking in a certain direction, and like he would get a crowd to rise on just looking at like it's all like timing, and I don't know. He's just amazing at that stuff and charisma. Like forget about it. On other hands, though, I actually look towards video games when I'm studying because I love Mortal Kombat. I love Tekken. I look into like Eddie Gordo and all because he's a capoeira fighter in Tekken, and I try and see all the different movements he does and see if I could replicate them and turn them into wrestling form.
Nice. Are there other art forms that you're into that like you said with Tekken influence you and your moveset, your look? I mean, like, are you into comic books or like are you into current video games?
Yeah, I'm a big video game head. I used to be really into comic books. I haven't read them in a while. I used to like collect them when I was like younger. I had a bunch.
Do you still have them?
I don't think I do anymore. If I do, maybe I would think they're at my grandmother's house, but I don't know.
Why don't you give her a call?
Yeah, maybe after this, I'll shoot her right over. Oh,
I mean, I might know a guy that collects comic books.
Oh, snap! Is that what? Hold on. What version of that Incredible Hulk is that?
That was from Volume 1.
Damn, that's
a volume.
What issue number?
That's issue 323.
That's pretty solid. Not gonna lie.
That's 323 when the Vision gets trapped inside the Hulk.
Wow. Oh yeah,
that's pretty dope.
Was that the Al Milgrom period?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
And I also hear. Oh, Jack. I got Punisher. Let's see this one. Another 5. Punisher issue 10, volume 2.
Damn, dude,
classic.
That's crazy.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Honestly,
so call grandma and
I
I'm always
I
on the hunt.
I used to be very big. No, not used to. I'm still like very big into video games. I just like binge played through the God of War series,
Nice.
and
Ooh.
I just beat the Ragnarok game, and I'm not a
Oh,
guy.
so you got a PS5?
Yeah, I do.
I will have one next week.
Oh, you'll love it. It's awesome. It's hard. It's hard because like I am busy, but that that shit be getting me sometimes.
That's awesome.
All
I
right.
gotta say, I'm still into Fortnite. I can take ribbing
Oh,
over
same.
that, by the way.
I play Fortnite.
Love Fortnite, and I'm all about that. My son's like, "That's so mid," like I get a lot of
Ah,
that from him. I was like, "No, man, it's the best thing going." But he's into, I don't know, all the modern warfare and all this other stuff, but which is fine. But yeah, the Fortnite stuff I'm on right now. Resident Evil is a common thread with Lewis and I in our game playing too.
have you guys got the remaster? Or I think the
Oh, I got them all.
Yeah.
I have them
Word.
all. I have multiple copies of Resident Evil 4. I even have it on my my Oculus.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, but
I'm trying to
I
get
haven't
one.
played the Oculus in a while because of a
Don't hurt
thing I'm
yourself.
going through.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I haven't logged into the Oculus in a while. Hopefully after this Thursday I can play again. But yeah, I haven't played it. But trying to play a zombie game in virtual reality
Oh,
where
dude.
you have to load your own gun, don't
Yeah,
do it, man.
I wasted
It
money. I bought I got a PlayStation VR years ago,
yeah.
and I was like, oh snap, like they have Resident Evil Biohazard on there. So I bought that, and I didn't last an hour. I haven't even touched it. I haven't
Exactly.
touched it since.
No, okay, so Resident Evil 4 on the Oculus sucks so bad. Especially when the chainsaw guy or the chainsaw sister come back. Forget it, because you panic. Because you actually have to load the gun. And I never shot a gun in my life. So I'm like trying to load the gun, you're clicking it, doing all this, the shotgun you got. I'm like, what the hell you doing? It doesn't work. And then you got to throw the grenades, and I throw like a girl. I can't throw nothing.
Oh,
And
Oh man.
it's I'm like, screw this. I'm gonna go play it when I can play, and I can beat the game, because I played it on the GameCube. I played it on the PS2, played it on the PS4. I'm
Wow.
playing it now on my Switch. Same thing with Resident Evil 2, 3, the remasters. But on the Oculus, screw that. So then me being the big dummy that I am, shut up, Jack, shut up, Jamie. I know you're probably watching. I went out and got another horror game on the Oculus where it tells you play it in the dark, but you're in virtual reality. Tells you play it in the dark with headphones on.
Oh man.
So I played it for 15 minutes and I shut it off.
They're
Because
terrifying.
you walk into a haunted house, and the first thing you do is walk over and it says, do you want to go left or right? And I click a button and a tricycle comes out, and you hear all this stuff. And that's exactly what happened. Desmond Desmond just went away. It's the scariest thing in the world. Let's take no, we have no breaks tonight. Yeah, so Jack, as Desmond gets straightened out, I bet you he was on his phone and lost some power.
yeah, that could happen. Well,
yeah.
here's a question for you, and for the listeners, I'm curious because we did just talk about Ring of Honor. Desmond was talking about that being some of the influential wrestlers' origin. What do you think about this Ring of Honor streaming network for $9.99 a month, but the pay-per-views are delayed by 3 months?
That's stupid. That's a ripoff. Why do that?
Well, because
I
the
would
new
not.
weekly show is it's the only way to watch the new weekly show.
No, it's ridiculous. I wouldn't do that. That is kind of like the WWE network where you couldn't watch Monday Night Raw till like 3 days later.
Yeah,
And
right.
no, it's don't do that.
Sorry
And
about that.
Dezmond is back. No, it's okay. You actually did exactly what happens in the horror game I was talking about, where the bicycle comes out and the whole screen goes black, and then when it comes back, there's somebody standing in front of you. It says like
No, when
not.
I'm on this when I'm on like StreamYard and like I'm doing like podcasts like this, when someone calls me, it shuts down my entire thing. It's so annoying. So it's so frustrating.
I thought you lost power.
Oh no, sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We're glad you're back.
Yeah.
Glad the tricycle didn't get you.
Yeah, I can't even tell you the name of the game because I won't go back on that damn thing.
No, man.
And
those are terrible.
And Jurassic Park on there? Nope. No, that's no. Nope, not at all.
I'm gonna
Not
stick with
at
my
all.
Xbox Series X. I'm not doing any of that stuff. So
Oh,
I appreciate
Xbox
you
guy?
guys.
Well, I
Yeah.
have both. I have Xbox. I have an Xbox Series X. I have a PS4. Next week I'll have a PS5.
Show off.
I know. I have a Switch. We have a Wii, and the Oculus. So
That was another thing about COVID. COVID, you know, those stimulus were coming in. I didn't use it wisely. I was getting a bunch of. I discovered eBay. It was just buying.
Oh, dude, you got to try Whatnot. Oh my God.
Oh,
Whatnot
don't even let me know because it'll be a problem.
Dude, it's like with my comic book collecting. Whatnot is like has everything.
It's like
And then
and it like what, it ships to your house and stuff like that. It's online.
yeah,
stuff?
it's got video games, action figures. It's like my heroin. I just go on there. I'm done, man. I'm done on Whatnot. Video games, comic books, action figures. It's like next thing you know, my PayPal account is like, yeah.
Well, now we're talking about the Ring of Honor network, and like I gotta tell you,
Yes.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm not sold. For $10 a month. I want the pay-per-views too, and I think I'm spoiled by Peacock or whatever, the WWE network.
Yep.
Getting the pay-per-views. I want Ring of Honor. I want the new weekly show, but I want the pay-per-views, and I don't want to pay $40 for those and pay $10 a month.
Yeah, that was a problem I was seeing a lot of people were having on Twitter the other day. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
It's ridiculous. Like the WWE, when they had their own network before Peacock bought it. If you remember right, you got your pay-per-views, but you didn't get Monday Night Raw until 2 days later.
Yeah.
So that was okay. You could always switch over, watch it on if you were streaming. You could always watch it on Hulu or not Tubi. What's the other thing? I mean, I have Hulu, but that other Philo or whatever it is. But if you had, or USA or whatever. For the Ring of Honor, I think it's a ripoff, and I don't think it's worth it. Not at all. They need to change their policy and change it quick.
Definitely for like if they're trying to start something up bigger and bring more people in, I would change it.
Yeah,
I mean they have the roster, but they have the roster to do it. I just think that they just need to they need to fix it. They need to fix it as well. I do think the Ring of Honor is going to try to be AEW's, and I said this to Jack before. Ring of Honor is going to be AEW's NXT. At least that's what they're going to be going for.
I can see that.
But speaking of NXT, I guess because we're getting down to the last 10 minutes, so I want to make sure we don't sell you short. But I could see you being extremely successful in NXT if you were to, say, for instance, have an idea in mind about signing a contract with a company like WWE or AEW or MLW, New Japan, whoever. Where do you see yourself being the most happy and successful?
That's crazy because I've been hearing that a lot lately about. I like, so many people have been telling me that they think I would do good in this generation of NXT. Honestly, yeah, like WB is like a huge goal of mine. I would love to do stuff with them. I think that would fulfill a lot of my needs. But at the same time, I'm not trying to rush anymore. I throughout the journey, I would like to go to certain places and see what works out for me. But WB is like, I feel like that's a lot of people's goals, and it's definitely been mine since I was a kid.
Yeah, right. And I guess I always wonder too, because, again, Lewis and I are always talking about the connections between the comic book world and the pro wrestling world, and they're abundant. They're all over the place. But I know a lot of artists are working in the indies or writers, and the goal is to get to either DC, Marvel, or Image. Those are like the big three. And you often have to send samples. You got to do all this work in the indies to get noticed in the big companies. Is there any, and again, without pulling back the curtain too much, depending on how you want to answer this, as you go forward into 2023 and beyond, how do you approach that? Like, say, for instance, that AEW is going to be in your area, like in the New York area. Like, would you try to reach out to them and send them the equivalent of a sizzle reel or like some matches, or would it just be one of those things where they contact you?
I mean, I'm not opposed to like put my neck out and even sending my stuff to AEW. And even if they do contact me, like I think thoroughly about my decisions and stuff like that. But those are great opportunities. Right now, if that it's kind of like whatever opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna weigh out my options. And I'm going to keep pushing forward, and hopefully, like Leroy was telling you, you just keep doing things and you keep working hard until it pays off. And I believe, if you're a good person and you do everything that you set yourself, you hold yourself accountable. I feel like there will be some sunshine for you. So,
Yeah, I mean, it seems like your theory is proving itself out based on what I've seen from this year. Like, really just enjoyed the hell out of your time at Wrestling Open. To me, it was a joy when you showed up there. I was like, oh my God, because there's been so many wrestlers who I've really gotten connected with through Wrestling Open. And I haven't seen you live there yet, but like people like the Brick City Boys, who that was the first time I ever saw them live. And then, we've gone on to see them in all these other companies at Pro Wrestling Grind and Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And I just feel like, that, and I could see you in NXT, but I'd love to see you at Blood, Sweat, and Tears and Pro Wrestling Grind. And
man, these are places I gotta go to. I gotta go to there first.
Yeah,
I feel you.
And I mean, I feel like also, like, I don't know how you feel about it, and if you've lived in other areas besides New York, but to me, like, this is the place. Like, the Northeast is the place.
The New England territory. It's amazing. Honestly, I have considered moving over there because I'm literally over there all the time. So it would be so much easier to me. But who knows? It would feel great, but at the same time, I kind of tell myself when I go out there, I'm like, you know what? The 5-hour car ride home and being upset having a bad match, I'm not accepting that. So when I drive over there, I make sure I am on my top game, because that ride home, I need to be happy.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. And I imagine, you're probably open to going all over the place, but selfishly, I like that, and again, I'm going to say this to Andy Brown next week. I love that he used to be in PWG in California. Now he's over here, but I'm really psyched that you're doing so much work in New York and New England, because there's so many great promotions where I just feel like there's a million opportunities for you. Again, I mentioned even Creative Pro on Long Island.
Oh, I love them.
There's like a wealth of talent there. There's so many great guys who I don't know if you've faced, I know you haven't faced all of them, but the ones like your match with Bryce, I just thought was so much fun. Like, I watched that twice in a row.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, because I didn't know what you were going to do against him. He's got a bit of a different style than a lot of the guys who I have seen you wrestle before. So to me, I was like, wow, like that was, I didn't know what I was expecting, but it just wasn't that.
he's 6'4". He's huge.
Yeah, right.
You put a 5'9" guy in there like me in there with him, it just don't work. Sometimes it just don't work.
We're ready. I don't want to cut you off, but we're down to the last 3 minutes. So I want to make sure that our listeners are able to find out about where they can get your merch, where they can see you live. And I don't know how many appearances you have coming up you could talk about, but if there's any dates you have coming up that you could talk about where our listeners could go see you and places they could buy your merch, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah. So fullygimmick.com. I have 2 shirts on there right now. I'm gonna start getting physical copies of the new brand of shirts I have coming out. So if you want to catch me at a show, that would be, you can see me there. And I'll, sell them to you. I have 2 right now. This Friday, I'll be at Remarkable Wrestling in Whitestone, New York. And then another big date is January 21st. I'll be at Limitless. I'll be there. So, and there's other dates that I can't really talk about right now. But
right. Yeah. That's fantastic. I didn't want to say this at the beginning, as I feel like you probably get asked this on every podcast. So I'm saving it for the end, just so because we have a few minutes. Where did you come up with the Big Boofa name?
So once again, this is another thing. I was hanging out with my friends, and I used to say boof and I used to say just being weird. It was weird noise I would make when I was throwing a shot or something like that. And my friend was like, "Yeah, I bet." I was like, "Yeah, I bet you." I won't call myself that. And then and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? People attract themselves to weird in wrestling. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start calling myself that. And I started doing it, and then even when I first started, people were really like, "What the hell does that mean?" And my funniest thing I would ever say back then, I was like, "Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative and it gets the people going." and even to this day, I still say it. But until I throw people off of what it means, nobody knows what it means.
Very intriguing. Louis, do you have a final question? We've only got 1 minute left.
Would you be my friend?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Of course. Of course. We both like comic books and video games. I gotta be your friend.
Yeah, it's all right. You're my friend. Jack, please tell everyone where they can find you. Some tremendous artwork, because the holiday season's coming up right around the corner. And if they don't have the gift that keeps on giving, which is some original Jack Purcell artwork, they don't know what they're missing. Please tell them right now.
I will do that. And Dezmond, if you have a moment when we go off the air, just to say a proper goodbye, if we won't keep you too long.
Oh, no, I'm good. I have time.
Awesome. You can find me on patreon.com. And if you just search Jack Purcell, something really cool that I just put up there. About 7 years ago, I created my own graphic novel after I left DC Comics called Malice and Mistletoe. Nathan Graham Davis and
you did that?
I did. Can you believe that?
Wait, hold on. You used to work for DC Comics?
Oh, 12 years. 12 years.
You used to work for DC Comics?
I'm going to hook you up with some DC Comics.
Desmond, ask him if he drew that.
Oh, no, don't do it.
Yes. Please.
That's why. I never knew that. That's wild.
Please ask him if he drew that. Please do that for me.
Did you?
Yes.
That's crazy. You're making me expose my bald head right now.
Wow. No, Desmond, point to the picture in the back and say, "Did you draw that?" See the picture in the back. Hold on.
I'll tell you what he's doing. What he's doing.
Oh, no, quiet. I will mute your mic. Oh, my God. Hold on, Desmond. Hold on. Point to the pictures in the back and ask Jack if he drew that.
Wow, dude, you drew that?
I did. And my name's Jack Purcell, Purcell.
I'm like,
and we are the Faces and Heels podcast. You can find me every Monday night live streaming with my sister from another mister, the one and only, that Wonder Woman, Jamie Dolan. and our sidekick, Quinderella, on the Angry Geek Show. You can find us on Pod TV soon. You can find the Faces and Heels podcast on Pod TV. Go to the Angry Geek Show website for the podcast version of each one of our shows. And take care. Go find Dezmond, and here is 30 seconds of Angry Geeks.